Hello, this is the start of the video that we're recording at the end, so Davey can stick it on to the start.
Affirmative.
We're back. We have the Marshall JCM800, kindly on loan from Brighton Electric. We have an RMS voltmeter on it, because we were curious to see how much power we're putting out.
Yep.
If we hit 20 volts, then we're at about 50 watts RMS. 30 volts would actually be the amp overloading. That would be like 110 watts or something. Yeah, what did we work out? 15 volts was about 25 watts.
25 watts, yeah.
And we've also got a professional dB meter here as well, so we can try and crank it. I've noticed once we were setting up that when I turn the master up, Lewie plays quieter. He's a man who plays sensible professional gigs rather than cranking a Marshall to 10 and getting fired.
The pre-volume gain is on 8 and the master is on 8. It is substantially loud.
It is quite loud. Earplugs.
Yeah. I didn't even look at the EQ, actually. It's just middle, 5 and 5 for the bass and treble. Presence on 0 because it's a Marshall, and it's horrible if you don't. I'll put it on 2, but I was always taught put the presence on 0.
So middle's on 2.
They're just so
It
bright.
sounds like a Marshall.
It sounds like a Marshall.
Doing Marshall-y things. I'll stick the dB meter down here and we'll see. We might have a look at it and see what we've got to. It is on max, so it won't give us the peak, it'll give us the actual max, because the peak's higher than the peak's the loud bit in.
Okay, let's see
what we at. Let's start with the Redback. This will be the most familiar sound to you guys. Now, I don't know how hard Lewie was concentrating on muting and avoiding feedback and stuff, because it is loud in here.
It's tough.
Just so you know, I saw that hitting about 20 volts. I don't know if you'll be able to read it from there. I doubt
20
it.
hit, we hit, did we?
Yeah, so that's about 50 watts.
About 50 watts, okay.
And down here on the dB meter, which, to give you an idea, is... That's getting on for 2 meters away from them, isn't it? It's more than a meter.
More, yeah.
So, and that's reached 123 decibels.
Not bad.
So that means that the cabs, it's at about 125. No, because it's 6 dB, but then we're in a room, might be a bit more, because it's 6. Normally you measure loudness, sensitivity related stuff, and a meter from a cab.
Yes.
So if you've got a 100 dB speaker in free space, then you'll get 1 watt will produce 100 decibels 1 meter away.
1 meter, yeah.
And 10 watts will produce 110 decibels 1 meter away. And 100 watts will produce 120 decibels.
Okay, right.
But, yeah, We're pushing them. This is loud.
It's dimed.
And I'll be interested to hear what it sounds like on the mic, and hopefully things aren't overloading. The meters are good there. We've got the pad on there.
I think we're all right.
It should be all good.
Yeah.
Well, what did you hear? Were you managing to concentrate on any listening?
Less so than normal. The same thing happened with this as it has happened so far. It goes.
But what I noticed was I thought the EVM sounded way better cranked than it did quieter.
And I think it's now trumping these. Because I think what you said earlier was true, in that as you crank it and you push it and you push it and push it, it just sounds the same and it takes it. Whereas most other drivers will start to break up, they'll change character a little bit. This just is.
That's really good.
It is what
at
it
really
is.
high power levels.
Which is cool.
And this isn't really high power levels, but 50 watts is quite a lot.
Yeah.
If you're actually using it. Loads of you out there will be using 50 watt heads.
But not.
But not using 50 watts. Then you might be using 5 watts. You might be using 1 watt. I mean, guitar speakers are really loud, but it depends what you're doing with them.
It makes sense that people live big touring musicians use these.
Yeah.
Like John Mayer uses and a bunch of other famous people who use them because they are on massive stages and they do get to dime their amps every night.
Yeah.
So that makes sense now because I was a bit confused by that because it is so. Like
The thing I did think though with these two, the Copperback and the Redback, is they still sounded really good when cranked.
Yeah.
It was that I think at lower levels I prefer both of those to the EVM.
Interesting. Yeah.
We don't know what the EVM 12L sounds like. This is an EVM 12S, so
Yeah, I got that wrong.
we haven't got one on. No one's ordered one recently.
No,
So
they're like 450 quid.
yeah,
So. They're not cheap drivers.
no, they're really, really expensive drivers. But what is a nice proof is that the EVM drivers do work really well in our cabs.
Yes, yeah.
We've yet to find a guitar driver that doesn't work better in our cabs than it works in anyone else's cabs, just so you know.
Yeah, the cab's the cab.
I don't think I've even waved one of these cabs around in the video. Can't let this, everything's on top of it.
Got up there.
That is a smaller one, but
Same thing.
they're all like this. Oh, this is an active one. So this is a new thing. We've sort of been doing a soft launch on it. But yes, in our cabs, there is this AVD thing, which is a way of taking the back wave off the driver and spreading the mid and high frequencies around the room, whilst also keeping the lows in phase. So you end up with a bigger output, essentially the output from both sides of the cone. But the output from the back is better dispersed and reaches you. And yeah, this one, as I said, this is the active version, which you can now have a 200 watt or a stereo, so 2x200 watt module in your cab. So it can make it an active cab, and you can even have a cab that's active and passive. So all the options. But
should we push it even more?
I think some heavier sounds.
We'll try. We'll start
Let's
with
see
the
how
tube
offensive
screamer.
we can make it.
It's the most logical next step, I think.
Just see how far we can go before building management get complaints.
We will get a knock eventually.
It's fairly soundproof in here, but you know, these are big levels.
What are we in at the moment?
On the Redback now.
Okay.
Whoa.
This is so cool.
It's like a foghorn though, isn't it, the way it pokes through the mid-range?
Yeah.
The Redback at this level,
Yeah.
I swear,
It's huge.
it's huge, and it's got woollier sounding and more mid-rangey and more like a creamback M.
Yeah.
There's a whole, because I think as it's being pushed, it's breaking up more. The Copperback is amazing.
I mean, it's 250, so it's not going to be breaking up yet like the
Yeah,
Redback,
now,
right?
Yeah, well, this is the weird thing. So you've got your power rating, which normally with speakers, power rating is a thermal rating. That's the conventional way of doing it. So that's what the EV will definitely be. That's the 300 watt one, but the new one's a 200 watt, so slightly different. But that's a thermal rating. So with pro audio drivers, the wattage rating is a thermal rating. Same with bass drivers.
Yeah.
But the way Celestion seem to rate their guitar drivers isn't necessarily a thermal rating. And I've never been able to get a perfectly straight answer from them, but it relates to the thermal rating, but also the cone and the surround and how it breaks up and how much power it can withstand being pushed in it from typical guitar sounds.
Yeah.
To the point that they say if you're down tuning a lot or baritones, then you kind of need to derate it because they can't move enough air, so they'll break up at lower power levels.
Yeah,
and we're in standard tuning.
They've done it for traditional uses.
But yeah, so I think the Redback is definitely breaking up a bit more. It's 150 watt 12 that, so you know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely changing in tone. I think it's getting more mid-rangey.
This isn't.
That isn't.
It's one of those drivers.
I think it's got brighter as you're pushing it harder. I think there's harmonic distortion bringing out some more top end.
I think that's what people like about it as well.
That's why it's sounding better now. It's cracked. It actually sounds nicer because it's gained some more top end.
Which one of these, when you go to it, seems to feel like I'm adding another distortion pedal? I can't tell which one it is yet, but
this it's the Copperback. I swear, it's got more top end.
That's what it is. It really changes the tonal characteristics.
Yeah, let's just check that again, so we're not then mad.
I'll put the tube screamer back on middle position.
This is the EV. So thick, the Redback, with it being pushed like that.
Yeah.
I love this. I love the Copperback.
Do you know what I mean though? It feels like you had another fuzz or something because of what changes in the spectrum. It's cool.
The EVM I feel would, if there's two guitarists, it'll help you slot around each other. You could have one guitarist with the EVM and another guitarist with something that fills a different space. This feels like it fills all the space in the world, the Copperback.
Yeah, it does.
I'm trying not to say this and point. I'm trying to say the name more often because someone pointed that out in a previous video.
We don't know which one you're actually talking about.
Yeah,
of course. Fuzz?
Yeah. I've run out of power. Have we run out of power? Yes. No. Dying battery. Redback just sounds like you expect a guitar speaker to sound like.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like so many great rock sounds.
It does the job.
Yeah, so many great 70s rock sounds.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
Yeah.
Or even Isley Brothers, that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? That thing. This is so controlled. So Redback.
Yeah, that feels the nicest to play through. For
does
sure.
it?
Yeah,
That's
does.
interesting. I wonder how similar in vibe that is to the Heritage.
It's a similar world.
It's got
For sure. All the
smoothness.
players I know that use the Heritage have been known to use those as well. The Robin
There
Ford
you go.
thing, the
And
John
I
Mayer
wonder
thing.
if it crosses to the classic Lead 80,
think it's
which
a
I
Phil
don't
thing.
think we've
We
done
don't
any
have those in
videos
at the
with.
moment.
But that's another of these controlled top-end drivers. I swear, as you push that, the extra brightness is so much nicer.
It's harmonic distortion. You're right.
Yeah,
it's
it
not
is.
just top end. It's
And then the Copperback, I just love it. The clarity is fat.
It's cool. Really all round that driver. I didn't think it
Absolute
was.
killer driver.
Yeah.
Stupid level of power handling. Stupidly light.
Yeah.
Wicked. And unique sounding, but not in a tiresome way.
No, not really. What are we at? 125. It's quite loud, isn't it?
125 decibels. We're not messing about here. This
No.
isn't bedroom YouTube.
Cool.
That's loud. So that's 125 dB, like 5 foot from the cab. So gives you an idea of how efficient they are, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because we've briefly gone over 20 volts on that.
Have we? So we're
So
sitting
20
at
volts. So
50.
20 squared is 400 divided by 8 'cause it's an 8 ohm load.
Yeah. That's why I was like, why is
Yeah.
he dividing it by 8? That
Yeah,
makes
so
sense now.
that's 50 watts.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're getting to about 50 watts.
So still not, which is mad because
And 50 watts added to your 100 dB sensitivity should get you to 10 watts would get you to 110,
yeah.
and then 20 watts would get you to 123, and 40 watts would get you to 126 at 1 meter. So it's coming out bang on actually.
I mean, look, if you can ever do a gig at that level without like everyone telling you to turn down, you've done well. So, do you know what I mean? Like getting into this ballpark is a rarity. It's a lot of fun, and it's a thing that we
That's
don't.
because you do sensible gigs.
I think most gigs, unless you're
Rock
doing
gigs get really, and you know if you
That's
like
only when you're hitting arenas. I think any.
no, oh maybe I'm out of date, but I honestly I haven't gigged for too long. I hope to get gigging again soon, but I'd crank a big bass rig. He got really loud.
Maybe
And
I need to-
like it. Oh, now this is going back a long time. But in my band at uni, we
Yeah.
guitarists had a Fender Twin.
Right. Okay.
We're cranking through a Fender Twin.
Which is loud.
They're really loud. And then I had a stack this high with a 1,000-watt power amp on top of it.
Maybe I need to start turning up on my gigs. See how long that lasts.
Yeah,
Cool.
that was really cool. Can we just do some? I'm just curious to hear some heavy rhythm to see how tight it holds together.
Yes. I'll tube screamer that then.
Or palm muty with more dirt? Or rat? Or just how gnarly can we get? You can really feel that.
Yeah, you can. Go on,
It's
you.
absolutely
It's the
thumping.
low end that comes from when you crank these amps. It's
Yeah.
you don't really
I
often
don't-
get that elsewhere.
Can you get that low end
Mm.
from an amp like that cranked into a normal 12-inch guitar cab?
No, I don't. No, not a 112.
No.
No.
These are 112s. That's the AVD.
Okay.
That's because you're getting both the front and the back joining.
I haven't really thought about that. Like,
Yeah.
All of this is going through a 112.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Marshall JCM800, but it's a 112.
Yeah.
We should stat this on some big stuff, shouldn't we?
I think we might have to do that out of hours.
I think we might have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's very cool.
Yeah. That was fun.
Again, we heard a similar sort of thing going on. This definitely is getting flubby. Is my new word.
No, I agree.
For,
makes sense.
when the low end transients don't hold together as much.
Yeah, it loosens up a bit.
This consistently tight. I did really notice when we went from the EVM
Yeah.
to the Copperback, we got a whole load more bottom end thundering out.
From the Copperback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt from the Redback, I don't know if it was more bottom end or there was just more fatness. I think there's probably, again, it's that harmonic distortion. So I don't think there's any more low end, but there's more. Basically, whatever your lowest note, the fundamental of your lowest note. So
yeah.
On this, the lowest note in E is 82 hertz.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get any frequencies lower than that. Apart from, actually, if you're palm muting, you will get non-harmonic.
Yes.
Percussive stuff, which could be thumping lower. So you're getting that feeling, and you're going to get the harmonic distortion.
Yeah.
Of those from both the valves and the dirt there and the thing. So but that will be, because that's harmonic distortion,
mm-hmm.
It will follow the harmonic series.
Yeah.
So it'll be multiples of the frequency.
All right.
I think we've learnt something.
I definitely
This is a very good high power driver, the EVM.
Amazing.
And it's definitely at its best cranked.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Needs to be domed.
And you like the feel of that?
Yeah,
the most of the three.
It felt really nice. It felt in control and tight.
As a listener,
responsive.
As a listener, I felt the Copperback totally gave it a run for its money. It
Agreed.
was a brighter sound.
Yeah, it's a different sounding thing.
So you'd need to, but if you wanted to get an EVM sound,
yeah,
I think you could totally use
a
Copperback and just set your amp up slightly differently with a less, because we haven't moved the EQ.
No, I just left it.
There's plenty of room for adjusting.
We didn't even, we're just
what the EQ's
on
doing,
and
well, other outboard stuff, different choice of instruments. Because these, particularly these older drivers are rare. The newer ones are very expensive, and they do weigh an absolute ton. And I tend to take the view that, who cares? They're lightweight, compact, easy to carry cabs. But if you go into your gigs on the bus,
you're in London,
distances,
or whatever,
London, New York, wherever.
Yeah.
You don't want to walk far with one of those.
It's not fun.
But one with a Copperback in, fine.
Strap it to your back.
Yeah, absolutely. Go by bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, skateboard, whatever. And the Redback's cool.
Yeah, just does the job.
Very cool and fat, and great if you want a creamback sound.
Yeah.
When you're cranked.
Yeah.
From a 112, or if you're someone who uses a 412 with 4 greenbacks or creambacks in, you could totally go down to 112 or 212.
Yeah.
And depending on how hard you're pushing it and what the amp is.
And just maybe not, if you're not playing such fast music, that was the only thing, because that low end got a little bit loose.
Yeah.
If you're doing chords and slow,
but it wouldn't it wouldn't get as loose if you weren't pushing it as hard, or if you had, say, a 212.
No, that's true.
Redback cabs. So it's one of our radicals or
watt then, isn't it?
uprisings, because then they're getting to share the air movement.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Great.
I've liked this. Right.
Me too.
We will be back, and hopefully we've not been playing so loud that we've shaken the camera out of focus. Did think that for a moment.
Is that a thing,
right. We'll be back with more stuff. Tell us what you'd like to hear.
Yeah.
The next videos we're going to be doing are totally inspired by inquiries from potential customers or existing customers who are wanting to try changing speakers or thinking about buying a cab and wondering about mixing drivers or different drivers.
Yeah, the popular ones.
Yeah, if we don't know the answer, we'd like to find out, so we might as well make a video, because there's an infinite number of videos to make, so it's best to make a video that solves an immediate problem, like your questions. So ask us your questions, even if you're not thinking of buying a cab right now, because, you will eventually, because why wouldn't you? Right, goodbye.
See ya.